On December 21st, 2018, the First Step Act was passed, a bill that changed federal sentencing laws and expanded compassionate release for elderly and ill inmates. The act also afforded inmates to be resentenced, which resulted in shorter or revised sentences. Some of the factors taken into account are the nature and circumstances of the offense, criminal history, and victim statements. But the most difficult hurdle for applicants is whether their release would minimize the severity of their offense. Anyone who's experienced the appeal process knows how difficult it can be to get any relief. Very few have their convictions overturned. As an inmate, being released and regaining your freedom is a constant thought. Over the past few years, we've seen numerous members of the mob, from bosses on down, who've taken advantage of the First Step Act. For many, it was just a desperate try to get out of prison, but some have received favorable decisions. Lucchese boss Vic Amuso filed for compassionate release in June of 2023. At the time, he had served 31 years of a life sentence. After being convicted in 1992 of racketeering, which included several murders, in August of 2023, a federal judge denied Amuso by saying, given the depth and breadth of Amuso's role in the Lucchese family and the harm exacted on both individuals and the community, the court cannot in good conscience reduce his sentence. His conduct was simply too serious, too disrespectful of the law, and too destructive to the fabric of society to warrant anything other than a life sentence. In 2021, Vic Arena, the former Colombo acting boss, filed for compassionate release due to his deteriorating health, and supposedly he had dementia. In a twist, his lawyers also made mention that newly discovered evidence casted doubt on his conviction. Arena was convicted in December 1992 for racketeering, murder, and other charges, in which he received 3 life sentences plus 85 years. In June 2022, Arena was denied by a 3-judge panel who wrote that while even federal prosecutors agree with his health issues, the district court judge correctly ruled they did not outweigh the need for a life sentence. They added, if there's indeed new evidence that proves Arena's innocence, it should be raised in a separate appeal, not one for compassionate release. In May 2020, Tommy Gioli, another former Colombo acting boss, requested compassionate release, but was denied. Gioli was convicted in 2012 of racketeering, which included a murder conspiracy, and sentenced to 20 years. In 2018, he was diagnosed with bladder cancer, and in 2021, also diagnosed with prostate cancer. That same year, he applied again for compassionate release, and through his lawyer, made the following statement. If I'm released, I will not associate, discuss, or communicate with anyone involved in any crime. The judge denied his request and stated that Gioli's crimes were so heinous and the nature of his leadership role so dangerous that release would not be appropriate. In December 2020, Bobby Manna, the former Genovese consigliere, was denied compassionate release. At the time, he was 91 years old, with 3 decades incarcerated. He was convicted in 1989 for murder and racketeering and received an 80-year sentence. The judge wrote, Manna was the leader in the Genovese family, a street boss who accomplished goals through violence and intimidation. Despite the fact that he's considered frail and has some medical issues, the nature of his life as a career criminal and his leadership. However, in April 2025, Manna, now 95 years old, was finally granted compassionate release. In that decision, the judge wrote, Mr. Manna's well-chronicled severe health problems undoubtedly establish extraordinary and compelling reasons for compassionate release. Those health issues included a stroke, stage 2 lung cancer, chronic kidney disease, and a recurring infection. In April 2024, former Lucchese underboss Stevie Crea filed for compassionate release following the diagnosis of his stage 4 lung cancer. Crea was convicted in November 2019 of racketeering and murder and received a life sentence. And despite his present deteriorating condition, Crea was denied compassionate release. Vincent Ricciardo, aka Vinny Unions, a Colombo captain, pled guilty in July of 2023 to extortion of a labor union and conspiracy to money laundering. He received a 51-month sentence in February 2024. Ricciardo wound up passing away while incarcerated in August of 2024. Meanwhile, his application for compassionate release was approved, but he never made it out. In July 2019, Peter Gotti, former Gambino acting boss, applied for compassionate release. He had several convictions. In 2003, for extortion and money laundering in a racketeering case, in which he was sentenced to 9 years. And again in December 2004, again for racketeering, extortion, and conspiracy to murder, where he received an additional 25 years. Despite his health issues, which included dementia, heart issues, blindness, and cancer, he was denied. In fact, he lost several bids at gaining compassionate release. Gotti had wrote a letter to the court saying the following: "I truly regret my choices that hurt so many, and in the little time that I have left on this earth, would hope to be able to share some of my newfound wisdom to help others not make the same kind of mistakes that I have made." In 2022, Vito Guzzo, a Colombo member, filed a motion for compassionate release. Guzzo claimed he was completely rehabilitated and matured from a rash young man pursuing a lawless lifestyle to a reflective, empathetic, middle-aged adult. Citing several ailments, including blindness in one eye, removal of part of his left lung, the result of 2 shootings, coupled with the fear of catching COVID, during the 24 years that he had in, he accumulated 132 classes. Guzzo pled guilty in 1998 to 5 murders and other charges, and received a 38-year sentence. He was seeking 5 years to be shaved off that sentence. He was ultimately denied, with the judge writing, "Guzzo's sentence is not extraordinarily long in light of his 18 convictions, which include 5 murders in aid of racketeering and other violent crimes. Guzzo committed 5 heinous murders using various weapons as the leader of the Giannini crew and conspired to commit 5 others. Guzzo was also convicted of a number of other violent crimes, including arson and armed robbery. However, in April of this year, Guzzo gained his freedom and avoided his November 2028 scheduled release date. He not only had 5 years, but 10 shaved off his sentence." If you haven't liked this video yet, please take the time now and give it a like, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. And for anyone who'd like to show their appreciation for videos like this, or to help me continue making them, you can donate with the Super Thanks icon down below, or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. I'd like to take the time now to remind everyone of my blog, also called Sit Down News, especially those of you who still enjoy reading. It can be found at sitdownnews.com and is a paid subscription. In December 2022, John Papa, a Colombo associate, put in for compassionate release. In May of 1999, he was convicted for racketeering, including 4 murders. In November of that same year, he received 6 concurrent life sentences plus an additional 65 years. Papa was seeking a sentence reduction, like Guzzo, and cited his upbringing and being raised around organized crime. His father, Gerard Papa, a Genovese member, was killed in July 1980 by the Colombo family. During a hearing last year, Papa told the judge that his time in prison has been transformative. "I've learned that working as hard as you possibly can, being honest, and helping others, that those are the 3 keys to a meaningful life." He also added that he had misguided belief that this was what he was supposed to do because his father was such a great man, and that he linked up with a crime family that killed his father because he thought he was going to do this better than him, and wholeheartedly believed that that was what was expected of him. He even quoted the French philosopher Voltaire, "We must not be guilty of the good we did not do," and added, "Your Honor, I am devoted to give back." The court denied his motion and stated that the devastation caused by the defendant's crimes cannot be understated. The court does not accept defendant's post hoc explanation that he was driven to commit the 4 murders by misguided beliefs about what was expected of him as his father's son, or because of brainwashing by older, ill-intentioned, manipulative, self-aggrandizing, and threatening criminals. Are organized crime members and associates using the government's laws to their benefit? It's well within their rights to do so, and let me know what you think.